everyone. Thank you for joining us for ICONversations. The ICON program is designed to celebrate our company's top producers. These agents have not only exceeded capping status, but have also reached exceptional milestones, earning them various stock grants and the opportunity to earn back their paid company dollar. Today, from Washington, we have Christine Anderson. From California, we have Crystal Hogard. From Virginia, Sean Ragan. Also from Virginia, Corey Dutko. And our amazing moderator today, all the way from Alberta, Canada, is Dane Faneuf. Dane, take it away.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. Corey, Sean, Crystal, and Christine, it's a pleasure to meet you guys. We're going to keep this conversation, light, easygoing, and, informational for everyone that's tuning in today. So, let's, I'm just going to call on people and, if you can kind of elaborate as much as you can and give us as much insight on the success of your business, we would greatly appreciate it. So first things first, we're going to go over production last year, primary lead source, and what your business looks like today in 60 seconds. So Corey, we're going to start with you.
Sure. Yeah, we're based here right outside of Washington, D.C. in the Northern Virginia market. I've been in real estate full-time since 2008. Sean and I are full-time investors and full-time realtors. And we did about 120 million in sales volume last year, which is kind of where we've hovered for the last few years, between 100 and 130 million.
That's amazing. Congratulations, guys. And, I guess you've been in the business a long time. So your primary lead source, would that be through referrals, online, paid advertising, Google ads, Facebook?
Yeah, good question. So our primary lead source is definitely past client referrals and investors. But other pillars are going to be open houses and lead calls.
Okay, that's great. So you and Sean are partners?
That's correct.
Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, so Sean, do you want to chime in? Did Corey miss anything or?
Sure. No, I think he covered it pretty well. I mean, I guess where our business is today, closed and pending year to date, we're at 40 million. And that's 33 deals. So we're really fortunate. Our average sales price is over $1 million here in the Northern Virginia market. And then Corey and I, we've divided and conquered. He really kind of runs our acquisitions arm, more of like our wholesaling acquisitions arm. Mm-hmm. I oversee the retail sales team, and then we both run our development company. And right now we have 17 new construction builds, like infills, tear down an old house, build a new one. And put that up there. So that's a big piece of our funnel and our growth plan.
Amazing. That's awesome. Okay, Crystal, we're going to jump over to you. So what was your production last year, primary lead source, and what does your business look like today in 60 seconds?
All right. So I am over in Washington State, where I'm a solo agent. Last year, I did just over 16 million in sales. It was my third year in real estate, all 3 years in with EXP. And that was covered over 46 sites. Our average sale price here is about 400,000. I live in a rural community, and my primary lead source was direct from my farm, my sphere of influence, and I did have paid leads through Zillow last year. Today, so far this year, I've capped 5 months earlier than last year. So that's pretty exciting. And then, I think I covered it.
That's amazing. So you've been 3 years in the business?
Yes.
Wow. Good for you. That's amazing. Okay, Crystal, are you with us? Did we lose Crystal? We might have lost Crystal. Okay. Well, we'll go on to the next one. So I guess actually, Christine, one more question for you. Would you be primarily buyer dominant or more seller?
So when I look at my numbers from last year, it was pretty much 50-50. This year to date, I mean, I think I'm set up to be about 50-50 again, maybe a little heavier on the listing side this year.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Okay, so we're going to transition into, kind of a second discussion point. So we're going to go over some career changing decisions. So back to you, Corey. What's one decision that has changed the trajectory of your career? Obviously, you've been in the business for a while, and I'm sure you've been through some ups and downs. And what decision kind of took you to the next level and got you to producing at the level that you guys are?
Yeah, sure. I would say two, probably. One, right out of college, I went to work for the insurance industry for Geico for a few years, and quickly realized that the corporate grind and the corporate ladder was not necessarily my career path. So not a popular decision with my parents at the time, but I decided to quit my strong salary job in upper management and jump into sales in the worst financial crisis of 2008 that we've seen. And I think that was a tough year. I didn't make $1 for the first 7 or 8 months. And but I think jumping in and just kind of putting my head down and going all in on real estate was definitely a big decision. And then 5 years later, I actually met at our prior firm when we were selling 600 homes a year and working probably 80 to 100 hours a week. We decided to branch off about 5 years later and start our own team and focus a little bit more on, balance as well as production. And so I think that was probably the best decision that I made in order to keep the kind of production going that we've been able to do over the years, but also maintaining balance.
That's great. How about you, Sean?
Yeah, I definitely echo Corey's latter statement about breaking off and going on to our own thing. And on top of that, I think another pivotal move that we made, which was something that obviously was like near and dear to both of our hearts, was focusing on investment deals. You can sell one house to a family, every 7 to 10 years, or you could sell 10 houses to an investor every year. So for us, the math made sense. We were passionate about that. And I think having that as a major focus of our business model really kind of propel us to success, especially coming out of the great financial crisis. And, that's continued to evolve in terms of the type of deals that we're doing. But having that base of a clientele that is willing to buy in up, down, sideways markets has been huge for us.
Amazing. So yeah, you guys transitioned into branching out on your own and creating a team. How was that? Did that decision take some time to make? And did you wish you would have made it a bit sooner, or kind of give us some insight on that?
Yeah. Great question. I think the timing was honestly perfect because we were able to get kind of what we call our doctorate in real estate at our old firm and learn the investment game with other people's money since we were 22 and 25 and didn't really have any savings. So we're really thankful for the time that we spent there. And we are still friends with the folks that run that group. And they're the largest team EXP in our state now in Virginia. So they're very predominant. And I think the one thing that maybe we wish we would have done differently is instead of bringing on agents from the jump would be actually setting up an operational staff and an administrative staff that helped us and bring on other producers or servicing agents and not just going agent heavy. I think that was one flaw that we've made and we're continuing to massage as the years go on.
Definitely. So how many agents do you have on your team right now?
So right now, outside of Corey and myself, we have 10 others. Basically 3 of them are about full time, and Corey and I are still, about 75 to 80% of the production.
Amazing, yeah, awesome. Okay, so Christine, I'm going to go over to you. So, one decision that changed the trajectory of your career. 3 years in, you're already killing it. That's amazing. Kind of give us some insight on any decision making you've made over the past little bit, and what kind of got you to where you are now?
Yeah. So I would say that the decision, I recently just made 2 kind of big changes. So we'll see how they play out. It looks like everything's going to be good, but I decided that this year I'm no longer paying for leads. I'm putting all my money and my marketing dollars directly into my my sphere, my farm, my local community through various different ways. And then I also started up my YouTube channel in January. So that's kind of where my marketing is going. And I would say of the last 3 years, like everything was kind of the same the last 3 years. And so this is the first kind of big change I've done.
Wow, amazing. That's exciting. Crystal, are you with us now or? Okay, looks like we're one short. Okay, so I'm going to dive into, I guess we touched on it a little bit, but our niche markets and then lead generation and systems. So Corey and Sean, you guys are running a powerhouse team right there, and you guys are killing it. What's what would be your niche? I know we just discussed kind of switching from just single family homes and more investment style because you can do volume, but lead generation. What would be your main lead generation source right now, and what systems do you have in place to manage that? And are you utilizing the CRM options EXP provides?
Sure. Sean, you want to take the CRM and I'll take the lead gen?
Yeah, sure. So we've been using Follow Up Boss, and then when obviously EXP made the deal with Follow Up Boss, that was huge. So that's really helped us. Other system that we use is Sisu. So we use Follow Up Boss as our CRM, Sisu as like our transaction management, kind of tracking activities for the team and for us. And then we also use Real Scout in terms of like our buyer portals, like searching features. So I would say those are like our main focuses in terms of the systems that we use.
In Sisu, when you say transaction management, that's just managing your files, kind of seeing how much volume you're bringing in, say for February, March, April, or...
Yeah, so it really helps us. I mean, it has the historical data from the previous years, so we can see trends. We're able to see, forecasted. There's a feature in there where we have like all of our signed listing pipeline coming soon, active. So we can break those down into different silos, all of our signed buyers that our team has. So we can kind of see, hey, if we were to move all of this forward, here's what we have in the pipeline, and here's the earning potential that everyone on our team has. So it's just given us a lot of clarity on where we're at. And our in-house TC uses that system for their transaction coordination and all of that. So that's really where the functionality of once we have something under contract, we're going in there and everything's running through there. And also it's been really helpful in tracking just, contacts, conversion. So we're tracking the 4 C's, contacts, consults, contracts, and closings. So it helps us to really be able to predict, the future of our business and find where people are succeeding or where they might need some help with their own personal business within our team.
That's amazing. So it's called Sisu. How do you spell that?
SISU. It's a great portal, and actually Spring Benson from Utah Life, she recently joined EXP from Real, and her husband's the founder of it. So we've been using it for a handful of years, and it's phenomenal.
Amazing. And is what kind of is it like reasonable, or is it on the higher side? And does the price go up if you got teams, or?
It goes up by a head count. I believe, for us and all of our admin and our team, we probably have 20 people that have accounts on it. And I think we're probably about $700 to $800 a month. So it's not super cheap. I just saw in the chat that, from EXP Fast Cap, it looks like Sisu's free. So phenomenal tool, solo agents to teams. I think it has a lot of application that can be used across the board.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, Corey, let's dive into lead gen.
Yeah, so lead gen, we do some direct mail. I would say the majority of our clients come through referral, past clients, open houses, and agent relationships, as well as MLS deals. So we do ratify a lot of deals on the MLS for both ourselves and our investors. And we also lean heavily into the off-market, meaning wholesalers, agents that sell pre-market. But we also do some PPC, some PPL, as well as mailers. We have been sending about 25,000 pieces of mail per month. So we typically send that, not necessarily from the farming perspective, but call us when you're ready to sell your house and we'll be your one-stop shop. Your solution. We can give you a guaranteed sale. We can give you a cash offer. We can help you take it to market. So that generates a good amount of listing leads. But really, agent relationships, MLS, and wholesaler relationships are a lot of what we, convert on the acquisition side.
Yeah, interesting. So mailers
is a lot of open houses, past clients, referrals, and we do 2 large client events a year for past clients.
Yep.
Amazing. And the mailers is a big one. A lot of people kind of go down that avenue. I'm curious kind of to know what kind of conversion you see with that 25,000 a month mailers you're doing.
It's a grind. I'm not going to lie. It's a full-time job for our marketing person as well, is tracking the return on the ad spend. And, it's lagging data 6 to 18 months out. It is not our most profitable, but it is our most consistent. And so we do get a return on it, but some of our returns are actually realized 12 to 24 months later because of the nature of us buying a lot and building a new home. So the ROAS is different than if we were just looking at it as a realtor. But we are getting a return on both the GCI and the profit, so both sides of the business. But it is a longer funnel and a longer timeline to track that return versus something like Zillow, Realtor, Flex, or even a PPL or PPC.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, Christine, over to you. So again, same thing. What kind of systems are you using today to kind of spring your business forward and stay organized and top of things? And then lead generation, what are you using to acquire these sellers and buyers?
Yeah. So for lead gen, I also do postcard mailers. I do them specifically to one of my farms that I feel like is pretty established. And then I've added a second farm area. A lot of my lead gen comes from those. I have marketing around one of my farms is a country club. And so I sponsor golf lessons. So my signs are all over the golf course. They're in the sports court because I give free sports equipment rental. So being like predominant in that community is huge for me. I've also, I've just started my 4th year, but I have seen repeat clients now, and referrals from past clients. And even though I've just started my YouTube channel 5 weeks ago, I did just get my first lead from that already. So that's super exciting. And then open houses are huge. I mentioned I'm in a more rural community. So being at an open house is a great way to, I think every open house I get at least one serious client from it, even if it's like a long-term buyer, might take a year or 2. But anyway, I find those are very, very valuable. My systems, there's a question coming up about like what we struggle with, and I struggle with my CRM. So I'm not going to talk about that, but I do have, during the week, I have a weekly calendar of what I do each day, I make sure to check in on my Google business on one day, my Google business profile, that is. I have certain post schedules for my Instagram and Facebook. I have a video block time on a certain day. And then I schedule all my appointments around these, right? Some of these are not time consuming, but I find that just checking in and being, having a day of the week that I just do all of those and track my business really helps.
Amazing. So I think we got Crystal. Is your mic working now?
I sure hope it is. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yes.
Perfect. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That stuff happens. So all good. You missed a couple, but that's all right. I guess what we're discussing right now is lead generation and systems. So, what kind of systems are you relying on to streamline your your business and keep things simple. And what are you utilizing for lead generation?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think when it comes to systems, our market's always changing. Real estate's always growing. So we're always pivoting and learning what's working and how to continue to grow. So we are huge Follow-Up Boss CRM lovers. So always digging into what's new with Follow-Up Boss, how we can utilize it, how we can continue to stay organized. Because I know as agents, probably that's not always our strongest suit. So Follow Boss is our CRM that we use. And as far as systems, one of the biggest things I do is let my assistant always continue to up our systems.
Awesome. Do you mind if we pivot back to some of the questions that you missed and answer a couple for us?
Absolutely.
So what was your production last year, and your primary lead source, and what your business looks like in 60 seconds?
All right. So we closed just over 24 million last year, just under 40 transactions. I've been in the industry for over 20 years. I played small for for probably 15 of the 20 years that I've been in the industry. 5 years ago, I got into prospecting. Mm-hmm. And so my main source has always been my database, past client center of influence. And about 5 years ago, I started prospecting. So expireds is a huge lead source for me. I absolutely love the phone. They love talking to people, and it's changed my business.
Amazing. And one decision that changed the trajectory of your career, you've been in the business for a little while now. Obviously, you've been very successful. Sometimes making big decisions can be scary or risky. And so one decision that kind of you made that changed your career and where you're headed and kind of how you got to where you are now.
Absolutely. So I can confidently say that making the decision to join coaching changed my business by changing my mindset. And you don't know what you don't know until you do. So I would say coaching.
Amazing. Great. So we're going to switch over to another job. Oh, we got a comment here. Dane, are you going to answer your own questions? Yeah, sure. I'm the moderator. I don't mind answering them. So I'm from Edmonton, Alberta. Production last year, myself and my partner was close to 50 million. Primary lead source is referral based. And, we do get lots from internet leads that we invest heavily in. And open houses, a lot of people find that open houses are kind of hit or miss, but if you stay consistent and you get in front of people, that we've had some success with it. Kind of balanced between buyers and sellers, I would say kind of 50-50. Biggest difference between today and 3 years ago would be I made a move from a big 5 commercial brokerage over to EXP, kind of focused on higher volume transactions, and it was scary at the time, but it did change my life, and I'm very happy with that decision. And that would have been the career changing decision for me, is making that jump to cloud-based brokerage, and the support has been incredible. Lead generation and systems, we use Sierra Interactive, and we have a couple of different websites that filter all to Sierra Interactive. And again, back to lead generation would be we invest heavily in some street level marketing, billboards, bus benches, and then same with online. And that's kind of the insight to our business. And then, I hope that answered your questions, Deborah. So back to the panelists, we're going to go through mindset, leadership, and some tough seasons. So obviously, this business is extremely difficult. You have ups and downs. Some weeks you can't even keep up with your phone calls. You're working up till 11 o'clock at night. You're up early, and then some weeks are quiet and slow, and it's a little bit of a roller coaster. So, Corey and Sean, over the last 20 years, what season almost made you want to quit, and what mindset shift broke you through that ceiling to kind of power through and keep going and, get you to where you are today?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I can think of a couple. I feel like I never really had it in me to quit. I think like pivoting and doing some soul searching for sure. I went through an unexpected divorce that definitely kind of hit me at my core and definitely impacted my production for about 18 months and my focus. I definitely fell back on my faith, and that kind of helped propel me through. I think just kind of having the mindset and the belief that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and that I truly have a passion for this. I never have envisioned doing anything else other than real estate. And then, aside from the personal aspect of it, we've had some top producers leave and try to take and successfully take some of our admin staff prior to, one of our, mentees back in the day that we helped get up to where he was selling 30 million and flipping, 10 houses a year using our systems and kind of helping him get there. And once he got there, he's like, thanks, out the door, and taking some of our people with him. I think that was just more like a gut check where it's, is our umbrella big enough where everybody can thrive under it? Like, are we thinking big enough? Is this, and then also weighing that with, is this really worth it? Or should we just kind of tear it down and have the two of us with a much smaller staff and still kind of crush the game? So I think that was just more of like, all right, this is like the evolution of business growth. And what are we going to do with this? Like, what do you do when you get punched in the face, right? Do you turn around and run away, or do you kind of punch back and figure out how we're going to fight fairly in this and protect what we want and how we want our business to look? I think there's two like distinct situations where it was just kind of, rocking me to my core, where you really got to look yourself in the mirror and be like, how can I improve as a leader, and where are we going from here?
Great answer. That was amazing. Some great insight. Sean, how about yourself? Sean, did we lose you?
Oh, sorry. That was Sean. I think Corey's got to go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Corey.
No worries.
Corey, are you with us? Okay, we're going to move over to Christine. So Christine, same thing, mindset, leadership, and some tough seasons. You're 3 years in, you're killing it. What season almost caused you to kind of, potentially quit? And what mindset shifted you to push forward and keep going where you're going? 3 years in, you're killing it. So this is amazing.
Yeah, well, thank you. I honestly just haven't had a moment yet where I wanted to throw it in the towel. I'm only being younger in the industry, I'm sure, I know that will come. But yeah, I just haven't found that yet. Around here, I don't have a lot of EXP agents. There's a few though, and not that we see each other, but it's nice to have that little camaraderie, shoot a text to each other, bounce ideas off. And then, yeah, I kind of look to I got really boosted going to EXPCon this last year, and seeing all of the leadership talk on the big stage and just in all of the little sessions. That was huge for me, just feeling it's almost like I can feel the support, and then like those conversations and those people are helping drive me now,
Amazing. That's awesome. So Crystal, how about yourself? Mindset, leadership, and any tough seasons? Was there a moment that almost caused you, wanted to make you quit? And what mindset broke you through that ceiling to push forward to where you are now?
I just have to take a second and commend Christine. What an amazing position to be in, so young in the industry and surrounding herself with like-minded individuals.
Yes.
I think that's so important, and that's what I love so much about EXP. Wanting to quit the business so many times before coaching because I was on this island of just this small town brokerage where I just kept going. I just kept pushing myself. And once you join a community, again, that's one thing I just love about EXP is if you embed yourself in the right community, you have so many support avenues that you can connect with. And that's so important in this industry because it is a mindset game when we work so hard for a client and then don't get paid 6 months later. So keeping that community for me is so important, and it's how we keep our mind strong and how we keep pushing through.
Yeah, amazing. I couldn't agree more. It's you got to surround yourself with like-minded people and push forward. So EXP kind of provides us that opportunity. So, all great answers. So I really appreciate everyone's contribution here today. So let's go over to providing some advice, for new agents. We've all been in that position at one point in our careers, and it's scary, nerve-wracking. You're hungry. And, you have a lot of deals kind of fall apart, or you have people that ghost you. So if you were a brand new agent today, what would your weekly schedule look like? What skills matter more than people think? And what would you stop focusing on immediately to, push yourself forward and get things rolling in the business? So I'll start with you, Corey.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. I had to log out and come back in.
Oh, no worries.
If I was a brand new agent, I think I would take the advice of our coach, which is treat this like a full-time job. And my schedule would probably start at 8 a.m. and wrap up by 5 or 6 p.m. as much as I possibly could. I would be talking to 100 folks a week and walking through 25 homes, which kind of leads to my second point, which is most agents, from a skill perspective, I think we tend to overlook the importance of market knowledge. So having market knowledge and being prepared for those quality conversations as you're meeting leads, open house leads, previews, talking with your database, especially as a brand new agent, I think those are two critical pieces. If you could have 100 conversations and walk through 25 homes a week, I think in 6 months, you'll have a completely different business than you had when you started.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. How about yourself, Sean?
Yeah, I definitely echo those sentiments. I mean, I remember when we were in Gary Keller's group, the one thing he would always tell us was, be the local economist of choice. And I think that market knowledge becomes that. I'm fortunate that I'm operating in a market where I grew up and went to multiple different high schools. So I know this area kind of like the back of my hand. But if someone was to plop me down in a brand new market, I think I would take that same approach that Corey just said. And then every day I would have a breakfast/coffee meeting and a lunch meeting with somebody talking about real estate, hands down. And I would also be holding as many open houses as I possibly could to grow my database, be able to practice my skills and conversations on, leads that are walking through, and just kind of fine tuning all of that.
Yeah, great response. Couldn't agree more. I think you guys touched on some great points there. Crystal, how about yourself?
Yeah, I think they hit the nail on the head. Talking to people. We are a numbers, people-driven business, and the more people you talk to, whether it be door knocking, going to the mall, talking to people, coffee shops, be known. They can't call you if they don't know you.
Couldn't agree more. Christine?
Yeah, very similar. Open houses are huge. And if you don't have your own listings, ask to host an open house for other agents. And that's one of the best ways to get a listing. I would recommend doing it in an area that you're going to have your face in the community, whether that is taking golf lessons, playing pickleball, getting involved in a club, or something where you're seen in the community is huge. And then, a weekly schedule. I don't know how to answer that part of the question, honestly. But filling your weekends with open houses would be one of my first things that I would have done.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. We try and do as many open houses on our team as well. And especially for the new agents that are joining, strongly encourage them to get out in front of people. And one thing that I'll add to everyone's great responses there is that having a schedule and structure in place when you get into the business is key. A lot of people think that being a realtor, you have all this flexibility. You get to do what you want. But really, if you're going to produce and you're going to run this like your own business, you need to have a really good, schedule put in place, whether that's getting up early, getting to the gym and getting into the office, and whether that's cold calling, coffee meetings, lunches. You guys have touched on some great points. So let's pivot now, and let's go back to you, Corey. So, struggling or plateaued agents, why do you think that a lot of agents kind of hit a certain threshold and either stay there or their business, kind of goes into a lull and drops? If someone hasn't closed a deal in 6 months and they're struggling, what should they do immediately to pivot? And, what uncomfortable conversations do struggling agents need to have with themselves to kind of get themselves out of that rut and push forward?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that's kind of a multi-layered question, but I think, I think when agents plateau, and we've seen this ourselves, is you kind of get out of either one, you fall out of love with the industry we've seen over our 20 years, or two, most commonly, I think people stop tracking their activities. And then they start to let their clients dictate their schedule. So it's the it's the transactional cycle where you get busy. There's seasonality. There's busier times of the year, and you might get a few homes under contract, and you stop lead genning or previewing, and you spend all of your day focusing on getting those to the table, and then you wake up after your 3 closings and you have no clients. So I think it's just consistency and consistently tracking your activities while holding that calendar that you just touched on, whatever that looks like for you. And then if you hit a plateau because, you hit a ceiling or a plateau, which we all do, then you just take a break and look at your business. And do I need help? Do I need an admin? Do I need another agent? Or am I, doing activities that maybe I shouldn't be doing? There's so many things that we could go into there, but ultimately it's just, making sure that you're treating it like a full-time job and running a schedule. Because I agree with you. I think most agents get into the industry looking for freedom. And they skip the schedule, the hard work first, and they want to jump straight into the freedom. And then they look back a couple of years later and wonder why their business isn't thriving. Mm-hmm. You kind of have to put in the hard, boring work first to then get to the freedom.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Sean, how about yourself?
Yeah, no, I mean, I honestly agree with all of that. And, we've had these conversations with multiple team members or people in our brokerage, over the years. And I think sometimes, if we've had those conversations that Corey just had, then I think it also pivots to sometimes you got to look yourself in the mirror and, is this industry right for you? Is this where you want to be? Like, this is not everyone is built for this, and that's okay. And there's no, transitioning from a solo agent that is super struggling to then joining a team to where there's, maybe better leadership, better systems, more opportunities with lead flow. Like that to me is another really pivotal piece that I think sometimes people think that's taken a step back or something, but that can really be the one thing that could propel your business forward. We have a lot of people in our market. I mean, being right outside of Washington, D.C., there's a lot of heavy hitters and a lot of big teams around here. And there's constantly people that are, going from solo agents that might have been doing it for a year to 5 years. And they just get burnt out and they want to join a team where all they have to do is sell. They don't have to run the marketing department. They don't have to, do all of the different silos of the business, and they can just do and focus on what they really enjoy or what they're best at. And I think that that's something that, some people look at that as taking a step back, but I would not.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. All great points. How about yourself, Crystal?
Yep, I second and third everything that was just said. Complacency is also a thief of agents. You have a couple of transactions that you spend your time on and you think that you're actually working when you're just being complacent. So keeping prospecting always top of mind, talking to people and not getting complacent is important, so that we don't hit those ups and downs. We stay consistent with always opening escrows and helping people and closing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Christine, how about you?
Just to add something in addition, I would ask, have, and maybe you are not the one to do it if you're plateauing, maybe you need an outside perspective to look at your systems or look at what your week looks like to give you some feedback, but see what's not working for you. I know, I have never cold called, and I don't want to cold call, but I was told initially, like, oh, you have to cold call to get your business going, right? And so if it's not something that jives with you or not something that you're feeling passionate about, like, it's not going to be successful. And so maybe there's something in your business currently that you could shift or change. And sometimes it takes an outside perspective to see that.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Kind of identifying and kind of dropping the wall down and seeing what's causing your decline in business and whatnot. So, thanks so much, guys. All great responses. We're going to go to a little bit of a switch here to some accountability questions. So, Corey, I'm going to ask you here, are most agents lacking strategy or are they lacking effort?
I would say locally for our team and agents, probably both.
Yeah.
I think a lot of agents overestimate their effort because they're not tracking in things like follow-up boss and CISU, right? They're busy. Doesn't necessarily mean they're busy with productive activities. Yeah. And I think that just goes back to what we just talked about, which is holding your calendar and your schedule and your activities accountable and having that coach or that peer to help you review it and see what's working and what's not working. But I think both. I think most agents that have high energy and are good salespeople probably don't lack the effort. They lack the strategy. But we personally know plenty of agents that have all the talent in the world, but lack the consistent effort.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. We see that in our market as well. And Crystal, how about you?
Yep, second that. I think it's both strategy and effort. You almost can't have one without the other. You need the effort to create the strategy, and then you have to put the effort back into the strategy.
Yeah. Sean, sorry I jumped over you there.
Oh, all good, man. I definitely think it's both, but I also think that we are serial entrepreneurs and we always chase the shiny object. You see somebody in your market or somebody in another market, doing something. We're like, oh, maybe we should do that. And our strategies start getting, pulled wider as opposed to going deeper. And I know I'm personally guilty of that. And I think that has probably, I don't even want to know how much money that has cost me over the course of my career. But like, that's something where not every strategy is going to be, I would say, as beneficial for each person. So like, pick your top 1 to 3 strategies and focus on those. Don't try to be everything to everybody and try to mimic what everybody's doing. Like, focus on you and do you and do that to the best of your ability.
Yeah. Great response. Christine, over to you.
Yeah, where I live, I would say it's a little bit of both. There's a lot of brick and mortar out here. And I feel like some agents that I know think the effort of going in and sitting at desk hours is their effort, right? Yeah. But it's just not, at EXP, I feel like there are some brick and mortar EXP locations. However, we all understand that we are like just going to sitting in an office. People are not coming to your office to find an agent anymore. So I feel like that is a downside. And then strategy always, how to work your clients, how to get someone to, work with you as a buyer, list your home, all of that. That's all boils down to your strategy and your systems.
And I think to piggyback real quick off of Christine, like, don't confuse busyness with productivity. Those are two totally different things.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of, I think that was reiterated too. It's like, just because you are busy with appointments, are you busy doing appointments that are going to lead to your business, or are you just doing busy work, whether it's sitting in an office or running side to side? And
Yeah, great response. Couldn't agree more. Focusing on income producing activities and building those relationships. And, sometimes I find focusing on building that relationship instead of focusing on, the commission at the end goes a long way. And people really take that into consideration, especially when you're pitching across multiple different agents. Okay, guys. So one book that changed your business. I don't know, everyone's not readers, but if you are, is there one book that changed your business and mindset to take you to the level where you're at now, Corey?
Yeah, I'd say the one book for me was the MREA. So going back to Gary Keller's book, it's called The $1 Million Real Estate Agent. And I read that, I think, my second year in the business. And for me, I've always loved math and numbers, and I've always loved relationships. So for me, that kind of gave me a mathematical equation and a roadmap to grow a larger business. So that was a game changer for me early in my career.
Amazing. Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is an easy one for me. It's definitely the Bible. And the reason I say that is I think the truths, the principles, and the values that I've learned through that have really formed who I am. And, I have the tendency sometimes to be not self-centered, but like selfish and like not giving people time. If I'm like, hey, this isn't moving the business forward. But I recently was like doing one of my quiet times, and a passage really stuck out to me. And it says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord and not for people. So like for me, like even if I'm not making money or I'm not going to necessarily earn this client, like still come from a place of contribution and be helpful, like pay it forward like that, as opposed to just looking like, how is this going to help me? I think that has been something that like even currently today is really top of mind for me. And I just recently had a experience where my wife, she works at the hospital. One of her friends is a doctor there with her. They're buying a $2.7 million house, and they met a Compass agent, who showed them a Compass coming soon, private exclusive. And then they're asking me all these questions. And before I would usually be like, you know what, man, I'm not getting paid on this, so I'm not helping you. But I've kind of changed my tune, taken the scripture to heart, and have been helping them. And, who knows where that leads, but I feel like I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, interesting. I like that mindset you kind of pivoted there. I kind of have a similar mentality when people kind of approach you for informational purposes or whatnot, and there may not be some commission at the end, but you've kind of focused on helping them out anyways. Very interesting take on that. That's great to hear. How about yourself, Crystal?
Sean, that's literally my scripture that I'm focusing on this year. So I love that.
Beautiful.
I can't really say another book. The Bible, of course, first and foremost, but Sean already took that book. So I will go back to basics with how to win friends and influence people. I've never been a reader. When I started coaching 5 years ago, I was challenged to read one book a week. And I remember reading the book, and they talk about using people's names, how important that is. I went door knocking, and I was talking to this lady, and I started using her name, and she signed a contract literally a week later, specifically because she felt so connected with me because I was calling her by her name.
Amazing. That's great to hear. Christine?
I also have enjoyed the Atomic Habit. I feel like that's a popular one. That one was good. And I feel like, yeah, the $1 Million Real Estate Agents, but yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So one habit that you refuse to break. I find that, all heavy hitters and, top producing agents, they generally have something they stick to, and they have good routines and good habits. So, what habit do you refuse to break, Corey?
I would say two for me. Working out first thing in the morning, usually between 6:15 and 7, and being home for dinner with my family every night.
Amazing. Sean?
I mean, honestly, pretty similar, except I'm not an early bird like Corey. I do more of a 12 to 2 workouts, always hit the sauna afterwards, just kind of have, and really for me, it's like starting my day off with my own personal quiet time, doing that. And then above all, like relationships are number one to me. There's no amount of money that will replace my family and my friends. So I have built my business around plans that I have with those people who are way more important to me than any client that I'll serve.
Amazing. Crystal?
Can I just ditto everything that Sean says moving forward? Yeah, I have my quiet time in the morning, and then I pick up my daughter at 3 p.m. I still work after 3 p.m., but I am extremely intentional about giving her attention.
That's amazing to hear. Christine?
I also think that taking time out for the family is non-negotiable. My block time for my family looks a little different. I have 2 boys and I homeschool. So Monday through Thursday in the mornings, I do not take appointments until after 10:30. And then we have a set time on Saturday. Anything after 4 on Saturday is for the family, and Sunday mornings for the family. And that I did not have my first 2 years. I was just like taking anything and everything, and it was not positive for the family. So I feel like that was a learning lesson for me about not letting clients dictate your schedule, but you are in charge of your schedule.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I'll chime in and answer this one as well. So routine is big for me. I go to the gym at 5:30 every morning, and then I'm home by 7. Something that's important to me is I have 2 kids, so I spend 7 till 9 helping out around the house, spending time with them, giving attention, and then same thing as being home for dinner every evening is very important to me as well. This business is, we don't really have a time stamp, so you do end up working kind of after hours and odd hours. So, taking time and prioritizing family and health is important to me. Biggest mistakes new agents make, Corey?
Yeah, man, where do we start? There's so many. I think, at least here locally in the East Coast, it's the barrier to entry to get a license is relatively low, and it's all virtual. So I think one of the biggest mistakes we see here with newer agents is they get their license and they jump right into it without finding that mentor, without learning the contract, without shadowing experienced agents or joining a team to really understand the ins and outs of the business. And I think we've seen and helped a lot of brand new agents out of some really sticky situations because they just jumped right in before sharpening the blade and really learning the necessary skills to serve the client at a high level. So I think it's, just really getting to know the industry from someone who will pour into you before you jump into your first client.
Couldn't agree more. Sean?
Yeah, totally agree with all that. And then I also just think, I think we've already kind of hit on this a little bit, but people jumping in and with the flexibility, kind of treating it more like a social club than an actual like profession and a career. And I think treating it as such will certainly dictate, I think, how successful somebody will be, whatever they determine success to be, but treating it as a true profession and a job. Like there's really no other jobs, even if you're in pharmaceutical sales, you have structure and you have stuff to go to. Like real estate is one where you're kind of on an island unless you make that a focus. And I think creating those boundaries and that structure up front is super important. If not, you just kind of flounder and don't really know what to do or how to spend your time effectively. And I think that is can be a huge detriment for people.
Yeah, great response. Crystal?
I actually wish that we would change the rules and regulations that you had to have so many transactions under your belt before you could be a solo agent. We're handling their largest assets. So I definitely think that as a new agent, you should have a mentor, you should be on a team, you should be getting guidance from experience.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Joining a team and most importantly, having that mentorship is, you can tell right off the bat, a lot of the successful agents in the industry all started that way. They had a very influential mentor that took time to, show them the ropes. Couldn't agree more. Christine?
Yeah, I have to say that I had a mentor that was the reason I even jumped into real estate. And I don't know how you can do it without someone there, honestly, if it's because there's so many learning curves. Like our licensing does not prepare us for, I feel, and I'm in Washington State, but I feel like for us to get a real estate license, you just have to have people around you. And EXP also has so many great learning courses, through EXP University and all of that. So there's that too. It's not that necessarily you have to have a mentor, I don't think, like standing with you at an open house or whatever, or showing, but to learn from the best and to really engross yourself in what tools are around you and what people can share.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Great response. Okay, so we're just about out of time here. I'm going to close this out with one final question for everybody. So, what does success cost, and that no one talks about? Corey, I'll start off with you.
Oh man, peace of mind. So I think one thing that no one talks about is and early in our career, like the weddings you miss, the birthday parties you miss, the dinners, the watching sports with college or good friends. Mm-hmm. I think no one, a lot of people that have been in the industry for 20 years remember those days, but I think, you sacrifice a lot. Like Sean mentioned, there is a sales job. We all mentioned there's Saturdays, there's Sundays, you're missing soccer games, you're missing sports, you're missing that valuable time with friends and family, especially early on, when you're letting your clients dictate your schedule, because that's the only client you have. And I think that's something that is important that agents know getting into the business that are looking to grow a large business should be aware of. Those are sacrifices that do get made early on until you get your traction, you get the stability.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Sean?
Yeah. I kind of think of it like when I saw Billy Bob Thornton. Somebody interviewed him once, and they said, "Man, how'd you become an overnight success?" He's like, "It's been 40 years in the making, right?" And I think it was something like that's what's kind of I resonate with. Where, we even have folks on our team like, we want to be where you guys are now, and we wanted this, and it's like, well, hey, I'm kind of chasing my own. Like everybody needs to run their own race. I have a race that I'm running that's set out before me and that I'm still trying to get to, right? The journey's never over. But I think just what people don't see is the hours that we put in, the mental strain it can take. The late night, my wife is a NICU nurse practitioner, so she works a lot of nights. They don't see what I'm putting in, building spreadsheets, running comps, running numbers for our investor clients, at night when I'm home by myself and doing all that stuff. So I think, kind of going back to what Corey said, yes, the time sacrifice and the mental, the mental reps that you're doing and just continuing to learn. Like none of us know everything about everything. Like, I've kind of gotten here by not knowing a lot about a lot of stuff, and I'm continuously trying to learn. I think that's the thing, staying learning based no matter where you are in your career.
Yeah, 100%. Great response. Crystal?
Ditto. Yeah, he's great. Exactly. Just your mental bandwidth. There is no clocking out. As much as we want to say I'm intentional once my daughter's home, in the back of my mind, it's still running. So I don't think there's ever a punch, a time card where we punch in and punch out.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Christine?
Yeah, time. If there was one word, it's time. And that's either time with family, missing events, always on the clock, working late hours after the kids go to bed, whatever it is, takes time.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I struggle with that myself. It's the time that's really challenging, and you try and be present for your family, and sometimes there's things lingering in the back of your mind that you try to kind of disconnect from. But that's all of our time today. I can't thank you guys enough. You guys are all killing it. Proud to call you guys colleagues working under the same banner. It's been a privilege to hear you guys speak today. Can't thank you guys enough, and hope to see you guys at some EXP cons in the future. And that's all I got today.
Likewise. Thanks for having us. And ladies, nice sharing the panel with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll crush it this weekend.
Woo!
Let's go get it. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all for joining us today. If you're watching this on YouTube, smash that like button. Dane, thanks for moderating. You've been amazing, and all of you on the panel were amazing as well. If you're in the audience and you're in an active ICON benefit year, you get 2 points just for watching the show. Have a great day.
Thanks, Brian.